So tell me whenever you want to start.
Shall we wait for 5 more minutes before beginning? I think we're expecting a few more people to join. I think you can begin.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RISE webinar with Academic Quest. I'd like to welcome Shreyans Lodha. He is an entrepreneur who works with students, teenagers, high school students, and he's, I think, probably helped hundreds of kids from over 20 countries. He's the co-founder of RISE, and he's about to start his MBA in Colombia very soon. Shreyans, welcome.
Hi, Amna. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'll just set the context for today's webinar before we move forward. We're here to understand how research helps high school students strengthen their college applications and how they can position themselves using research to competitive schools. We also understand different data points and student testimonials from RISE to see how students have previously used research to give them an edge, both in their applications and once they reach university as well. So moving forward, we'll start off with a short story of how RISE research came about. So, so my co-founder Yash and I actually met in our professional endeavors. At the time, Yash was working at Amazon as a software engineer, based out of London. I was at New York City working at a hedge fund called D. Shaw. Both of us, working professionally, saw the importance of research. In all of our peers and all of the people we interacted with had done some form of research or the other, either through their high school journey or in college as well. We found this lacking in most schools and most countries in Southeast Asia. So when I came back home post my experience, I understood that a lot of high school students look forward to such opportunities, but there weren't as many opportunities available for high school students here in Southeast Asia and other parts of Europe as well, which is when we started RISE research about 3 years back to bridge this very gap, to provide students with a platform to connect with the right mentors across different disciplines in STEM, humanities, and arts, so that they can explore their interests early on in their high school journey and understand what degrees, what majors would be most suitable for them going into college as well. Very basically, first to understand what kind of evaluation system do colleges have internationally, not just in the US, UK, but also in countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, and other parts of the world. We break it down simply into three components. The first is the base layer, which is your academic grades, your SAT scores, your standardized testing, AP scores, and so on. So that basically forms the fundamental base of your application. The second layer is your extracurricular activities that you do within your school. This could be debating, MUN, sports, cultural activities, and so on. And then finally, the end, which is the top tier or the unique value proposition, as we call it, for each candidate, is what do you do beyond your academics and extracurriculars. Here we have seen students highlight multiple activities that they want the university to see in their profile. Research comes in the top tier of an activity. This is beyond your academics and extracurriculars. Other activities here could be starting your own startup, having a passion project, and so on. So why does research matter and why is it so important to start research early on in your high school journey? So the first thing, the first factor we try to understand here is how do you showcase your interest in a particular subject to the admissions committee when you apply to these competitive colleges in the US, UK, and internationally as well. So one way is that you take up courses related to your intended major. So if you want to do a major in economics, you would have taken up your subjects as economics HL in the IB or economics in the A levels curriculum as well. That's one way to show your interest in that particular major. The other ways are to do relevant coursework both online and other AP additional courses as well. But the most important way, and something that students often miss, is doing academic research in the particular discipline, which is the best way to showcase your academic depth and curiosity for a particular discipline and major that you intend to do. The second is to gain expertise on a topic. So when you do research, it's very important to understand it's not just doing it for your admissions or for doing it as a checklist on your activity list. It's more to do with understanding the topic in depth, because at times there are universities and colleges that also interview you, in which case you would be expected to talk about your research in a profound manner. And if you have used either AI or sort of wrong means to complete your paper, most students often slack when it comes to the interview stage. And finally, as we mentioned, that doing credible research is a standout factor for your applications, as it's something that most students might not have on their high school profile when they apply to these schools. So, just to get an insight on what schools have often spoken, what they look for within students that they admit to their cohorts, it's very important to understand these characteristics of students that are often admitted to the top colleges internationally, and also how research helps you showcase these qualities on your application. So, the first is your passion, idea, or curiosity. Colleges are looking for students that are genuinely passionate about their ideas and they're genuinely sort of curious to learn more in the particular field. Logically, research shows that you have gone the extra mile when most students have stopped at their academic coursework. The second is executing or discovering your passions. So, most students stop at an idea or a curiosity. They might write that I'm very interested in economics, but what have you done to pursue that interest? What steps have you taken? What steps have you executed? What have you discovered in that domain? Again, students who have completed a research paper and published the same, those count as executed steps towards your goals. And finally, the self starter attitude is something which is an overarching theme. Why is that so important? It is important because research is completely optional for students at a high school level. So, only if you have that self motivation to put in the extra hours over and above your academics and your standardized tests would you take up this activity and then showcase it on your applications. So, I think a combination of these traits have seen applicants to have great success when they apply to these competitive schools across the world. Finally, it's also important to understand why is it so important that parents become involved in the entire process of research. So oftentimes when we have this discussion with students and with counselors, we also have parents involved in all of our loops. It's incredibly important because parents are the first mentors for the students, even before their counselors, even before their research and academic mentors. The first level of curiosity, the first level of exploration is often encouraged by parents for their respective children. Second is parents also inspire students or their own kids for that matter to help them identify their genuine interests. So oftentimes students are at a young age conflicted between two disciplines, majors, what they want to pursue early on in career. So oftentimes they talk to their parents about these ideas, the parents share their inputs, and then as a collaboration between the parent, their counselor, and the RISE team, we come up with areas of interest that the student might want to pursue going forward in their research journeys. And then finally, it's the support and commitment that is required for students throughout the program. Research as an activity is something which requires significant amount of time dedication, significant amount of intellectual curiosity. So oftentimes students might feel that this might become overwhelming. At those points, parents are there to support them, are there to guide them and help them maintain their progress, help them review their work, and so on. So I think this is well put here. A student's development is most effective when parents and mentors work together in collaboration as partners. Starting off with what colleges in the United States speak about research across their admissions reports and the interview discussions that they have had with students. So, Caltech, about 45% of their admitted class has showcased original research on their applications. UPenn, which is an Ivy League school, nearly one third of their admitted students in 2025 did research in high school at a young age. Stanford has gone on record to say that they look for intellectual vitality in students. One way of showing intellectual vitality is through research. And finally, Harvard as well has gone on multiple press releases to say that students who have shown highest academic rating based on strong scholarship and creative thinking have about 8 times higher chances to be admitted to their batch as well. So, coming to more specifics into the application section to understand very detailed how colleges actually assess research. So, we went on to the Common App portal, which is something you will identify when you apply to colleges in the US. This is the common application which you submit to all of the colleges, most of the colleges in the US. For the competitive schools in the activities section, they have a section reserved for research supplement, which is often labeled as optional. But most students who actually get into these colleges have submitted their research work here. So this basically says that colleges in the US directly ask students to submit their research work, but oftentimes students aren't aware of this up until the last moment when they actually open the Common App portals and understand the importance that colleges also place on this activity. Something very interesting happened in 2025. Caltech, which is one of the most competitive research schools in the US, Caltech, which is one of the most competitive research schools in the US, has created a Viva, which is an oral assessment for students who submit their research work. Why is this so important? Because in the age of AI, students had often plagiarized their work and haven't completed their work through authentic means. So Viva exam is then placed for students who submit their research work, wherein professors from the same major or the same discipline will question you about your research work. And if you aren't able to hold your ground, if you aren't able to answer their questions correctly, you won't be admitted into the university. So this is a trend that we have seen starting off in 2025, where universities have started these oral assessments to prevent students from using unfair means to do their research work. Coming to colleges in the United Kingdom, which is the UK uses a system called the UCAS, wherein they evaluate applications based on multiple parameters. So the UK is primarily focused on your academic scores, and they also have a personal statement question. So up until last year, the personal statement was one singular piece or essay, wherein they were using that to evaluate students' academic profile, their academic journey, and so on. From this year onwards, they have created 3 separate questions on the personal statement to better assess the applicants as well. The third question is what's very interesting and relevant for us. So the question goes as follows: what else have you done to prepare outside of education, and why are these experiences useful? Here is where research comes up as an activity that you have done outside your education, which is directly relevant to your application as well. So in the UK, you apply to specific majors, versus in the US, you can be undecided as well. So in the UK, it's even more important to understand to have research on your application because it creates an additional layer of evidence and intellectual depth for your application when the admissions committee evaluates multiple factors on your profile. More specifically in the UK, when we talk about Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, these top schools, all of these schools have an interview round before they admit you into their class. Now, what happens in this interview round? These are subject-specific interviews. So if you're applying for a degree in mechanical engineering, you would be interviewed by a mechanical engineering professor. Now, what happens also in these interviews is that you are probed to answer specific questions related to that particular domain. So, if you have done research, you would have some knowledge of how to tackle these questions. The professors will also read your personal statement and ask you questions directly related to the particular discipline or directly related to your research work as well. So, this is incredibly important that one, you do your research yourself. Two, you understand what you have done and you're able to confidently answer all questions that come up in your subject specific interviews at these top colleges. Coming to other schools in the UK, like LSE, UCL, King's, all of them have specifically highlighted the importance of research in students' academic profiles. So, LSE and UCL have often said that the personal statement is reviewed to assess academic readiness and outside preparation. This basically means that they look for indicators that students have on their profile, be it AP courses, be it research work, be it other online courses, be it summer schools, and so on. So these multiple factors and parameters are assessed by these top schools and colleges in the UK as well. Again, talking about the rest of the world beyond the US and UK, Singapore has also have colleges which put great emphasis and importance on research as well. NUS, which is one of the top schools in Singapore, has often highlighted the importance of research projects in high school students. One very interesting fact is that over 30% of the admitted students at NUS with scholarships had research on their profiles. So research is not just important for students to get into top colleges, it's also important for them to get scholarships of high values at these colleges as well. So that's something we look for in student profiles and encourage students to do proactively when they apply for scholarship applications as well. NTU, which is another top college in Singapore, Nanyang Technological University, have also highlighted the importance of research on their application. Again, the highlighted portion on your screen talks about how they look at research favorably and how they encourage students who apply to their STEM university who preferably have research skills early on in their high school journey. And I think finally, talking about Hong Kong as well, HKUST, which is the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, has explicitly mentioned in multiple press releases that they highlight the importance of research in high school students. On your screen here is a screenshot of the application portal from HKUST, where they show where you can list your research experiences and what importance they place on it as well. Just to understand the sample timeline of a research journey for a student who comes to RISE. So the program is about 10 weeks in all. It starts off in the first week where you meet your mentor, have a discussion about your ideas. Most times students don't have specific topics when they come to us. So the mentors help them identify from their broader interest areas. Let's say, for example, some students interested in behavioral economics, then the mentor will suggest some more niche ideas which they can explore in their research journey. So the first week is more about ideation, figuring out your research question, and building some sort of base idea of what you want to do going forward. Week 2 and 4 is when students work with their mentors to form specific hypotheses that they will explore over the remaining course of the research journey. Week 4 to 6 is when students actually collect data, start writing their paper, start analyzing the material as well, and start taking guidance from their research mentors and writing coaches extensively. Week 6 to 8 is when they start collating all of their analysis, their research work, their findings, their implementations, and create the paper ready for publication. Finally, the last 2 weeks of the program is when students compile all their work with the appropriate guidelines to submit it to an academic or student research journal. So here's something which is incredibly unique about RISE, which also differentiates us from most other research organizations, is the importance that we lay on publications. So firstly, what are publications and why is it so incredibly important for high school students? Publication is like a certificate of validation for your research work. So once you complete your research, there needs to be an independent organization that validates the quality of your research work so that people across the world can know that your research is of high quality and credibility. So publication is incredibly important to validate your academic rigor. Number two, publication also increases your acceptance rate to the top colleges. Over the past several years, we have seen students who have published work in their application have a 3 times higher chance of getting accepted to the top 20 universities. Number three, it also creates a strong differentiation in your application. We will discuss this in the next slide. And then finally, number four is once you have published research on your profile and you enter university, you are much more likely to get opportunities with your professors, with research labs, and other internship opportunities based on the skills you've developed previously as well. So, as I was discussing how research is incredibly important, and then publication is the differentiator that creates a sort of difference between students who do just the research paper and those that go forward and take it one step further. So, in all of your applications, you would have two sections. One is an activity section, one is a honors or awards section. In the activities section, you would list all of the activities you do in school. This would be debating, sports, cultural activities, research, and so on. But in the honors or awards section, you list your achievements here. Publication is an achievement that you list in the honors section. And this is something which students have often highlighted has caused their admits to top schools as well. Students with published research often highlight this in the honors section, which increases the weightage of this activity on their application as a whole. Finally, to understand, we've put some avenues where research can be taken a step forward as well. We spoke about publications previously. Students have also gone forward to take their research to different awards and conferences. On the screen, you see some names of international conferences and awards. Our students have gone forward, presented their research, and won recognition at these platforms as well. So just to give you some context about some student profiles that we have helped over the several years, Eunice was one of our students from the West Coast in the US. She was working on a project which was related to the privacy challenges in legal tech platforms. So Eunice was working on this with her mentor from Stanford University. She successfully published her paper in the Stanford Intersect Journal, which is a highly competitive journal for high school students. Post that, she got into Cornell University in the early application round. So Eunice has gone and shared her experience with our team and told how her research paper was then used in her essays, used in her interview as well, and so on. So this is one profile of a student that we have helped getting into a top school, which is Cornell University. Moving forward, Arjun is one more example of the several hundred students we have helped. So Arjun used his paper, which is on the biases influencing jewelry purchasing decisions, to help his application to NYU Stern. So Arjun published his work in the International Journal for Multidisciplinary Research, and this helped him get into one of the top competitive schools with the business background for a business major. So the point of sharing these profiles is to give some context and understanding that we have helped students across different countries, across different disciplines to get into top schools through their research journeys. Timothy as well is one more student we have helped in his journey. So he did a paper which is a STEM subject. He used this paper to first get an internship at the MIT Research Science Institute, and then he used that same paper in his essays applications to get into UC Berkeley as well. And finally, we were extremely proud to have Iman here from our RISE cohort as well, who has successfully completed her research and also published her work. So without speaking on her behalf, I would like to introduce Iman as well. I'm extremely proud that she's here with us today and would love to hear her experience at RISE with the entire research journey and how she worked with a mentor and so on. So Iman, over to you.
Thank you. I'd like to begin with thanking Rise and INIV for providing me with an opportunity to share my research experience with you all. So, why did I do research? So, during my ESS class, we were introduced to environmental justice, and which really opened my mind to a new dimension of law beyond the more commonly discussed humanitarian law and the social frameworks of law. So that exposure intrigued me and I began exploring further. And through that process, I came across issues such as commercial whaling, biodiversity destruction, and the ecocide movement. This led me to pursue research that aimed to justify and support the case for the international criminalization of biodiversity destruction. So, why I chose to do research specifically was because I wanted to move beyond simply learning content and actually questioning things. And what motivated me the most was the opportunity to engage with real world problems rather than just theories that you would sit in class and study. Now, the project became deeply meaningful to me because as I went deeper, I realized how complex these issues truly are and how powerful, well conducted research can be in shaping understanding and influencing real change. It fundamentally changed the way that I evaluated information and evidence. Now, regarding my research journey, I like to highlight the significant role that my mentor played in shaping my approach to research. They didn't just tell me what to do, but they asked me the right questions, challenged my assumptions, and helped me think critically. And academically, they guided me on refining my research question, structuring my argument, and improving my analysis. And on a personal level, they were incredibly supportive, and especially during moments when I felt stuck or overwhelmed, because writing an 8,000 word research paper is not easy. And the most important aspect for me was that my mentor was a practicing lawyer who had completed her MLit at Oxford. So, working with someone who is experienced and excelling in the career I hope to pursue not only strengthened my research journey, my research paper, but also gave me a genuine insight into what life in that field is actually like. So she offered me valuable perspectives on law beyond textbooks and helped me understand the realities of being a lawyer, both academically and professionally. However, one major challenge that I faced, which I would like to highlight, and I feel that that's the one that many students struggle with as well, is finding relevant, credible, and authentic academic sources for your research. At the beginning, the process felt quite overwhelming because of the sheer volume of information available and the difficulty of identifying what was truly reliable. However, this is where Rice played a crucial role. So, my writing coach guided me towards high quality papers written by established mentors and authors, while my mentor helped me access and evaluate legal papers from Oxford that were directly relevant to my research paper. And this helped my research paper become of more of a legal analysis rather than, confusing it with an environmental or sociology paper, which is really important. And so this not only saved me a significant amount of time, but also made the entire research process far more efficient and manageable. Another thing that many students think, I feel, is that they need to choose a research topic that sounds impressive to the admission officer. However, I feel like my biggest advice would be to choose a topic that you're genuinely curious about, not just something you think sounds impressive, but because like curiosity is something that's going to help you when the process gets tough. And that becomes really important during the writing process because writing a research paper is like a marathon, not a sprint. So it will become really boring for you if you're not interested genuinely in what you're writing about. Also, another advice that I like to give is that you shouldn't be afraid to ask for help or feedback. So because research is not meant to be done in isolation, it's supposed to be done with the support of your mentor, with collaboration, and with actually asking help from your writing coach and your mentors. Finally, I would just like to say that trust the process and feeling confused at times doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means that you're learning and it's a part of you actually growing. And lastly, I'd just like to thank Bryce for the spectacular experience during my research journey because my journey with Rise was a journey of real intellectual growth. The process taught me not just research skills, but also discipline, resilience, and the confidence in my own thinking. And my journey not only made me evaluate real world problems critically, but also made me feel more capable as an independent learner. And most importantly, while exploring environmental law, it helped me figure out what kind of a lawyer I wish to become. So, research not only helps you strengthen your academic profiles, but it also helps you find out and clear your paths of your career, what you want to actually do and what you're actually interested in. and which path in life you want to actually go to. So that's all from my side. And thank you again.
Thank you so much, Aman, for your experience as well. We're extremely proud of your research work, and I hope you had a great time with RISE as well. Before we move forward, we'd love to open up to any questions anyone from the audience might have. We spoke about the importance of research so far across different countries and colleges. In case someone has any questions, we'd be happy to take them at this point. You can move to the next slide, Kushia. Okay, so just to give you a small summary of what parents have been saying about the RISE research program and what are some of the factors that have been highlighted oftentimes across different students and parents. So one is that the mentor mapping process, which is pairing the student with the right mentors. This is something which we stress on a lot, and we have seen parents often share in their experiences, in their testimonials as well, that their students or their kids have been mapped to the right mentors. In this case as well, Rena, one of our students from Dubai, was working with a mentor from the University of Cambridge. She was also incredibly happy with the kind of support her mentor gave her. Her father, Nishant, was incredibly happy about one, the mentor mapping, how the mentor was supporting her daughter throughout the program, and also how structured the program was in terms of what steps need to be taken, what are the deliverables per week, and so on. So, this is just one example of parents talking about what they like about the RISE research program. Moving forward, we also have another parent from Mumbai who also highlighted that the guidance of the mentor was incredibly important for her daughter to publish her paper. So these are some examples of how students have experienced and liked our program as well. You can move forward, Kushi. Yeah. Uh, yeah, so a bit more about RISE and how we specifically help students with their research programs. So just to get started, yeah. So just to give you some context about RISE research as well, we have a team of over 500 PhD mentors from the top colleges in the US and UK, the likes of Ivy League colleges, Oxford, Cambridge, MIT, Stanford, and so on. In the past 3 years, we've supported over 1,000 students from across 20 different countries in their research journeys. On average, our students have shown 3 times higher acceptance rates to the Ivy Leagues and other top colleges in the US and UK. And I think the most important metric here is the publication success rate of our students. Over 90% of our students have published their work in the top global academic journals. This is something we're incredibly proud of across all of our students. So what do we help students with? So all the way from identifying the research question to then helping them start their research journey, get mapped to the correct mentor and writing coach to support them throughout the program, and finally publish their work in an academic college high school journal. So as I mentioned earlier, we encourage students to do research across all disciplines. So we are subject agnostic. So be it STEM, humanities, social sciences, arts, we have amazing mentors across all these disciplines. We also encourage students to do interdisciplinary research. So we have students who do research with math and AI, legal studies and AI, public policy and economics. So if you have interest across different disciplines, we encourage you to explore those with us here at RISE as well. Just to give you a small overview of the entire research program that we have here at RISE. So the program goal is to write a research paper of about 6,000 to 8,000 words on a particular topic that you are passionate about. In terms of the structure of the program, each week you would have 2 sessions with our team, one with your research mentor and one with your writing coach. Both of these sessions are incredibly structured, and each week you would have some deadlines, some deliverables that builds up to the research project at the end of the 10-week duration. Typically, students come to us all the way from grade 8 through grade 12. We don't expect any prior experience in terms of research or academic work from students. If they have done some form of academic writing, that's always preferred. In terms of requirements of academic grades and other sort of requirements, so we don't have any minimum GPA or SAT score. However, on average, the students that come to us have an SAT of about 1350 plus and have above average grades in high school as well. Finally, the output for the program is a high school level published paper in a global academic journal. So as we mentioned that we're incredibly proud of our team of PhD mentors spanning across all of the top schools in the US and UK. Some of them have been listed on the page here. So we have mentors across Stanford, Harvard, Brown, Oxford, Cambridge, and multiple other Ivy League schools in these countries. So something which is incredibly important to understand is how do we map our mentors to our students? So before we onboard our students, there's an application process wherein they fill out a detailed application form about their interest areas, about their academic grades, about their research interests, and so on. So we get some understanding of what direction the student is looking at, followed by an interview stage wherein the research mentor from RISE would talk to the student, understand their unique interests, what personality type do they have, and based on all of these factors, we identify the right mentor for the student. So identification of mentors with students is not just based on their research interest, it also is based on a personality fit and a skill match. Something which happened very recently was we had one of our students who was interested in psychology, but she was interested more in the quantitative side of psychology. This was discovered through her interview round with our team. So the mentor we got for her was a psychologist with also a stats degree. So he could help her out more proactively with the kind of research she was expecting to do. So oftentimes our application process is how we understand how we can better help students throughout the program. So in terms of the application timeline, as I discussed, the first stage is filling out the application form. Once we receive your application form, the team will shortlist your profile based on multiple factors that we identify. After your profile is shortlisted for the interview stage, there will be a short one-on-one interview with our mentors to discuss your motivation and research goals. Once you complete your interview, the team will then share the next steps of onboarding with you as well. Finally, we have some cohorts coming up in the next few months. So our most recent cohort is the Spring 1 cohort on 31st Jan, followed by 15 February, and then finally 30th April is when we start a summer batch as well. Perfect. So that's the end of the presentation. I'll open the floor to any questions that you guys might have. Happy to take any questions now or later on as well.
Looks like there's no questions.
Okay, perfect. I think we can wrap up then, Amna.
Thank you so much, Shreyans and Iman. Iman, I loved hearing how passionate you are about your research. And I'm sure it's because of RISE, that you've learned so much more. And I look forward to reading your paper very soon. Thank you, Shreyans. Thank you, Khushi. Thank you,
Thank you
whoever
so
has attended. So we'll be, putting up snippets of the conversation on our social media for those